Hello and welcome to Husky Talk Conversations. I am your host, the podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully, and with me, as always, my beautiful, lovely, entrepreneurial, and now head college basketball coach of a cohort and co-host, Maria Conlon. Maria,
Hey,
hello.
hey. Hi. I feel like I gotta come up with like a better name to put on the bottom because underneath your name it says best podcast host in the universe. I should just put like best co-host in the universe or something like that. I don't
You are the best co-host in the universe. I think we can agree on that,
know.
and
Yeah.
we can definitely add that for sure.
Maybe every
Um,
week I'll come up with something fun and fun loving so that you're surprised when you get on.
yeah, that would be a nice surprise.
Yeah.
That would definitely surprise me
Yeah.
if I got you. Are you heading into the office or have you been in already?
Yeah, I'm heading in. We had a little debacle in our house over the weekend. Our we had a leak in our
Oh, in the new house.
Yeah, apparently the guy that redid it before we moved in never ran the gas line to the upstairs furnace, and there was like a little leak in one of the pipes. So we've been without heat, which is why you see I have my hood on, because once you're cold, like it takes a while to like get that icing off. So I was waiting this morning for the guy to fix it, and now I'm heading into the office. I got a bunch of meetings today, and then tonight we have our first official practice.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so it's I'm pretty pumped. I'm gonna get some like nostalgic pictures because it'll be, my first time, my first official practice as a head college coach, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's really exciting, especially for you, because I think that you are going to be a phenomenal college coach all the way
Yeah,
around.
and I
So I'm
just want to
excited.
say, it's been such a weird experience. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna get this off my chest.
Well, it happened so fast. That's
Well,
what I
like,
go back to.
so interesting because it's like, going from high school to college, if you're a decent high school coach, right? Like it's a natural progression. Like people should be excited to see you like progress your career. And I've been inundated with overwhelmingly positive notes and support from so many people and so many friends from a long time and now. So I just want to say I appreciate all the support. But with that has also come an interesting amount of like uh jealousy and like anger a little bit, which is so weird. Like I've just never been one of those people, and I think you're like this too. Like I genuinely love to see people succeed and like better themselves and advance. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand that vibe, you know? It's an interesting take for me. I had a guy who mentored underneath me for a couple of years, and then he ended up going and getting a head coaching job in high school, and like he won't even acknowledge me at all, or like the fact that I got it, and then just posted yesterday. He posted this like random, he doesn't even know this other person who got like an assistant coaching job in college, and like posted this stuff for her. And I was just laughing, and I'm like, what kind of world do we live in where we can't genuinely be happy for others? Like it's just
No,
weird.
it never happens that way. It's always jealousy and it's always hate. I mean it's sad that that's the way it is. People can't be happy for someone.
Yeah.
They automatically take the negative route. And I think that goes back to your work harder and just treating people with respect and not being a bully and picking people up and helping them be their best. I think that makes all the difference in the world because I think that's really what's missing out of today's game. I think that just kids are selfish, and and they don't want to get the best for themselves. They want to be the best player, but as far as being the best person that's going to get them further in life, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily see that happening.
Well, and
And
it's
that's
common.
where
Like I think the trickle down is like we have so many adults that are like this. So
that's the
like,
problem.
you know what I mean? Like this person I'm talking about he's a grown ass man. Like it's just wild to me. And
That's hilarious.
I've never been cut from that cloth. Like so to me, like I just can't relate to it. Like, bro, what's wrong with you? You know? And like
Would you?
you're molding other young adults. Like there's a problem here, you know? I don't know. I digress. I just wanted to get that off my chest because it was
No,
bugging me.
I understand completely, and
You know?
that's really frustrating to have to deal with, especially with everything else that you have going on, um, with your team, and the last thing you need is more problems. So I completely get it,
I
and
try to shy.
you don't need people harassing you.
Well, it's just like I try to shy away from the drama. You know.
You always do. I know you're
You know,
always chill and you stay out of it.
but I'm just like some days I get to this point where I'm like, what, like, why? Like, what? This is it? This is all you? You have nothing else better to do? I guess, man. I don't know.
That's how sad people's lives have become. But
Well, and
that's what they
they hide on social media, right? Like we've talked about social
because
media
it's
before,
easy. It's
right?
easy to be a tough guy on social media.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and then that same person will, like, if I see them in person, they'll be like besties,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they'll cower to you. They'll be
yeah,
like,
like,
"Oh, well, what do you mean?
yeah,
I didn't do that."
you're a keyboard warrior, but like in real life, that's it, man. I don't know.
I wanted to ask you because we had been talking about the WNBA playoffs,
Yeah.
and it kind of it played out pretty much exactly like you had said.
Yep.
Um, New York and Minnesota,
Yep.
New York and Minnesota in the finals. Um, and I had read an article on ESPN about the Liberty, and they had just been through so much, which is an organization which I did not know. Um, the article was called "The Liberty's Tortured History in the WNBA,"
Yep.
because they were one of the initial original first teams, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so they were there. They started in 96, 97, and they were playing in the Garden. And it's just been kind of a whirlwind for them. They've seen 19 playoff appearances. They have Hall of Fame players. They have celebrity fans courtside, and they've had some amazing games, but they have never seen a WNBA championship,
Yep.
which is crazy to think about. But with the with the way New York sports is going right now, that's seems to be the common ground. And Stewie, I know you're a fan of hers, and
Yep.
she was very disappointed on Thursday when the Liberty lost game one,
Right.
um, and because they came back and they won game two. But early on, what were your thoughts of the series
Yeah.
between?
I mean, I still think this series probably goes to five. Um, I just think like I think I told you this. I said if the Sun
Yeah,
beat Minnesota, I think the Liberty 100% win the WNBA championship this year because I just think that um, it was just a better matchup for the Liberty. Um,
right.
but now that Minnesota has won, I just see this going to 5 unless, if New York had squeaked out that first one, which they should. I thought that they got outcoached and outplayed in the last like 4 minutes of the game. And I'll say that because
Yeah.
they were up like 14 with like 4 minutes left, and they were playing really really fast, taking quick shots. They had a bunch of turnovers, and instead of Sandy Brondello calling a timeout and saying like, "Hey, use the full shot clock. Let's make sure we get a good shot," they didn't. They tried to just kind of play through it, and it bit them in the butt a little bit. And then, they obviously had a chance. All they had to do was get one rebound. Then they foul a 3-point shooter, and then Dewey misses a free throw. So it was just like
Yeah.
just a bunch of unfortunate things. But the last 30 seconds, I don't, is not what lost them the game. Like I said, I just felt like they got outcoached in that last 4 minutes. She should have just reined them in a little bit, and got them.
And you're saying that for game one.
For game one, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. That's okay.
Game two, I thought New York definitely. I mean, Enescu was hot in the first half, which I think helps them whenever she comes out hot. I thought they got Stewie a little bit more involved early on, which was good. And I just think that Minnesota was off in game two.
Yeah.
So
That's.
I
I
don't
mean,
think we'll see that in
that's
game
long
three.
travel too. I mean, do you think the travel
they played both
affects?
teams in New York.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Okay.
mean, yeah, they played both teams in New York. So they went Thursday to Sunday and they stayed down there. Now they're traveling to Minnesota. They'll play the next 2 games there. It's not that bad of travel, I don't think. So, I think this next game will really kind of tell us how this is going to play out. But, like, I love Stewie, but I love Nafisha Collier. She is
Yeah,
so freaking, she's
she's
so,
been something.
I mean, she was great. Like, she was a pro from, like, her freshman, sophomore year in college at UConn. But
Correct.
this girl just gets better and better, and she really has no flaws to her game. It's weird. And she's given Stewie hell. I mean, she's defensive player of the year. She's taken on guarding Stewie. And I think she's done a phenomenal job. I think that was the difference in game one, especially late in the game when they were trying to get Stewie the ball. Thies is just doing a great job kind of disrupting her. And I don't know. Like, I don't want Minnesota to win because I don't want Cheryl Reeves to get it. But, I mean, Nafisha Collier she's just been so phenomenal all year and all playoffs. Like, good for her. But I would love to see New York get it, and I think they will. I think they win in a 5-game series. But we'll see. Crazier things have happened.
And New York has that other good guard, Courtney Vandersloot. Is that her name?
So they have Vandersloot.
She's pretty good, right?
Yeah, she's
Or
had kind of
she's
slow.
older.
She's had a slow year. She's had some injuries, but they got this
Okay.
girl Phoebish from Germany this year. She's really been the difference maker, I think, for New York.
Mm.
Because she's like a utility player. She can hit the outside shot. She plays good D. She rebounds, and she doesn't need a lot of shot attempts to get hers. So I think that's been a huge pickup for them this year. They didn't have her last year, and they were kind of missing that piece.
Right.
So I really think Phoebish has actually been the difference for New York this year, and you can see that in the playoffs as well.
And the other thing that was really encouraging to see is that 18,000 fans have been going to the games, and they set a record for the Liberty's game at the Barclays Center.
Yeah,
Where
I love.
they,
Have you ever been to the Barclays Center?
yeah, my friend was an executive at the Barclays Center, and I actually got to sit in a box there
Oh
several
man,
times.
that place is great. There really isn't a bad seat in the house there. It's not like MSG
No,
where if you're all the way up top, you need like a TV up there in order to see stuff. Like, it's so well done and interactive. I mean, it's not as easy to get to as MSG, obviously,
Right, because it's in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but I think it was such a smart move for them to move that franchise to play out of the Barclays. I mean, first of all, it's newer and it's beautiful. Um,
Oh, it
and
is. It's top of the line.
yeah, and I think that when you play at MSG for the WNBA, it's like the fan base is a little all over the place, right? Because you got people in the city in Manhattan that got other things to do, but I think in Brooklyn, like they really follow their sports there, and they're kind of entrenched. So I think it's been really good for them from a fan base perspective as well.
But I mean, Minnesota has pretty rabid fans as well, I would say, correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they've had a lot of success over the years, in the Maya Moore, Simone Augustus days, which Simone Augustus just got inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame this past weekend. She gave a beautiful speech. Um, Lindsay Whalen was there, so they've had some years of success. So their fan base is pretty good. Um, but it'll be rowdy. It's going to be rowdy there tomorrow night. It's going to be a fun game. I'm excited to watch. At 8 o'clock, so it gives me enough time to get home from practice and still, maybe grab a blue moon and sit on the couch and watch some WNBA.
what did you think of the other news that they are going to a 7-game series going forward? The WNBA Finals will be a best of 7 next season. I think that's
I love
good.
it. Yeah, I love it. I think the more that we can streamline towards the NBA, the better.
Yeah,
It's like it's kind of wild because the WNBA could be over at the end of this week, right? Like Friday.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and it's kind of sad, right? Like you know, um, it's been such a record-breaking year for women's sports and women's basketball in specific. And the crummy part is that we're going to have like a 3-week in between until college basketball really starts. Which, by the
Right.
way, I don't know if you watched any of it, but the UConn men played against URI last night at home.
I heard about it. Yes.
Dan Hurley he might be, outside of Gino, he might be my favorite coach of all time.
Everyone loves him.
Because
Everyone freaking loves him.
one of his bigs, like, had a nice, like, move to the basket, missed it, but got his own rebound and made, like, a tough putback. And this guy is turning towards the fans, getting pissed off that they're not, like, more amped up about the hustle play. I love it. I love everything about it. He's he's actually batshit crazy, but in like the best possible way. He is so entertaining and like it's just wild. I love it.
Yeah, and it's great that we kept him, and I think that they will have an excellent chance to win the Big East and three-peat because of his intensity, his passion, his enthusiasm, just the way that he coaches and his style and the way he handles players. I think is second to none for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about. I also read an article on ESPN that I could not believe. There was a study done, and it said that athlete abuse spikes during March Madness, and it targets women. The abuse college athletes face on social media, including threats of violence, spiked during March Madness, with women basketball players targeted 3 times more often than men. I was blown away by this. It said that 8 out of 10 abusive posts sent to college athletes on social media occurred during the NCAA tournament. And then one athlete received more than 1,400 abusive messages over 2 weeks.
Who
Can
was
you
the athlete?
believe that? It doesn't say the name, no, but I can kind of guess who it probably was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes and no. Like that's. I mean, I don't know where people come up with these studies, but that's a conversation for another day. But
Right.
That is shocking. The only thing I can think of that I feel like would correlate and make sense in regards to that is like when we think of men's college basketball, like first of all, I think it's less followed in a cult sense than women's basketball. Right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know what
The
I mean? Like
tribalism, yeah. I think the tribalism is more for women.
yeah, like if you look at UConn fans in Connecticut, for example, they know the women's like all of their names, all their date of birth, probably their social security numbers and blood types, their favorite food, like where they like to frequent. If you ask UConn fans the same question about the men's team, they wouldn't be able to answer half of that. Do you know what
No,
I'm
they
saying? Like,
wouldn't.
so I think there's more of an attachment to women's basketball from a fan perspective, and I don't know if it's because women and like their affect and the way they interact with their fans is so much more lighthearted. It gives them this false sense of, well, we can just say whatever we want.
Well, I just want them to be
You know?
protected and feel safe. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like we never dealt with that back in the day. Like back in the day, there was this website called the Boneyard.
The Boneyard's on. The Boneyard is still a thing, and it's
Yeah,
on Mike Burton's Store Central.
yeah. I mean, and that was like a place where people would go on and like pick players apart and like say really negative things and like blah 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 blah.
Correct.
And like again, I could never understand that either. But it's not to the it was never to the level that because you have so much more access to these athletes nowadays. And again, you got your keyboard warriors, right? That want to like be tough guys behind a keyboard, and here's my opinion. I don't care if it's gonna make a 18-year-old girl feel bad. Like I'm just gonna say it because I can. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, what we're seeing now, it's just crossing the line. And what scares me the most is it's happening to younger and younger players. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening to younger girls. It's happening to younger boys. And it turns them into becoming negative, disruptive, disrespectful people because that's how they were treated and that's all they know. And
Yeah.
that's honestly what scares me, seeing that it just trickles down. The kids having respect. And that's why I thought what you did running that AAU program, having a meeting with the parents right away and just setting the expectations and setting the values and like a mission statement for the program. Like, this is how we're going to treat people. This is how we're going to do things. And you weren't going to put up with any BS throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
I thought that was so important to do. And now,
But we
especially
need more of that, right? Like the
we
problem with
do
it is that we don't have enough.
100%.
Like that should be a non-negotiable. It shouldn't be rare, right? It should be the
Yes.
norm. And
Right.
there's too much like money grabbing, and the
Exactly.
experience stinks, and it's whatever. Like I don't know. To me, again, like I'm just cut from a different cloth, I guess. Like I just don't see it the way other
No,
people
you're
see it.
100% right.
Like how does that not the norm? Like how are you not having those conversations? Like I would be mortified if I knew somebody or I was exposed to somebody that felt like it was appropriate for them to go online and bash any athlete. Like
No, I
listen,
know.
I'm like the vice president of the LeBron James hater club because I just don't like anything about him, right? And I'm not talking about his skills. Like I'll never say anything not like highly
No, I
skilled.
know.
I just can't stand anything else about him. Like I think
I
he's a
know.
baby. But like I would never go on
And
and
bash him on
post
social
him.
media.
No, like I'll repost like a meme or like something else, but like all in
That's
good
fun.
fun, right? And like by the
Yeah.
way, you're making $1 gazillion a year. Like you could deal with the memes and your receding hairline. But I would never do it in a malicious way. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand where people find the audacity to be like, like, let me come into your workplace. Like, all right, you're an engineer. Let me go
Right. Let me come into your workplace.
Chat and be like, oh, I can't believe the way that you added. You weren't detail oriented enough on this last memo or this whatever. Like, it's just like, where do people get off? But I don't know. Again, that's just me. Reminds me of you ever see the movie The Office Space?
Of course.
Yeah, where like the guy's like, did you get the memo? And they're like thinking like, get your own memo. Like, how would you like it if somebody came into your workplace and like, like, I don't know. It's so crazy. All in good fun, but it's crazy.
So I didn't get your thoughts on this because it happened right after our show last week. What were your thoughts on the New York Football Jets firing their head coach?
Oh my God.
Their second place. They were in second place. They were 3 points away from winning last night and being tied for first. They fire their head coach.
Isn't that crazy? Like, think about that.
Yes, it is crazy. They'd be in first place.
Yeah, I said that to somebody last week. I said they just fired their head coach, and literally, if they win this week, they're in first place.
Yeah,
make it make sense, right? Listen, I think that, if he hasn't gotten scooped up to be somebody's defensive coordinator by now, he should be.
No, he'll get a job. He'll get a job.
I think the thing with him, based off of what I saw and what I read, was like the guy just didn't know when to shut up in the media.
Saleh? Yeah, he voiced his opinion a little too much.
Dude, again, know your role, know when to shut up. I really do think that was his Achilles heel, and that happens, right? Like, being a head coach and you're one of the face of the organization, like, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And folding them in the media is fine. Like, take blame. Like, you're also going to get the credit. You know what I mean? So I think that was his downfall. I think being buddy with Rodgers. Like, listen, we all know Rodgers is not a stable guy.
I don't think he was buddy with Rodgers. I think
that's what they tried to make it seem. Right?
Yeah, the offensive coordinator was close with Rodgers.
Right.
And I think that may have caused the problem because he didn't like the relationship between the OC and Rodgers, that they may have had more power than he did, something like that. It's a really strange dynamic. And like for him, I'm going to say this honestly, I would have given him coach of the year last year for winning 7 games with that dumpster fire of a team. I thought what he did was incredible. And the fact that he's out of a job 5 games in, and number one, it just goes to show coaches, owners don't have patience. And it's the same at the college level. The athletic directors don't have patience. And I always use the Texas A&M example because Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M got fired last year. He had just signed an $80 million extension. So they fired him, and he's getting paid $80 million not to coach. And that just blows my mind that they have some donor who calls up and says, I want him gone. I'll pay for it. Get rid of him. And he's gone. And there was a time, Maria, when Charlie Weiss, he was coaching at Notre Dame. He got a 10-year contract extension after, I think, his first season or midway through his first season. Okay. He gets fired in 2009. I believe it was after the UConn game, after we beat him. Then he goes to Kansas. He gets hired at Kansas. Kansas fires him after like 2 seasons. and he's got 3 years left on his contract. So he was getting paid by 2 schools not to coach. And I always said that was my dream. I said, I just want to go get a nice job somewhere and then get myself fired and then get paid not to coach and go sit on a beach somewhere. I think that's the way to go.
But all of that tells me is that he is the smartest, worst coach in the country. Right? Like, gotta be.
Yeah.
Because you're that bad that you keep getting let go, right? But you're also a genius, smart, because
you keep getting hired.
You're doing it in a way where it's like, yeah, like you keep getting hired and you're getting paid by somebody else to not coach there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is going to be the smartest coach in the world to be able to pull all that off. Like literally.
It's absolute madness. So how is
You should write a book on that.
I know. How is your daughter enjoyed going back to school?
She's in 8th grade, so
yeah,
it's
that's
like
that's a tough age.
The campus now. Yeah, but you're also in charge, right? You're the oldest group there, so I think
that's right.
Yeah, so it's been fine. I think she's getting a little stressed out because we're getting to that point where we got to apply at different high schools and figure out where she's going to go next year. But outside of that, I mean, everything's been good. She's getting good grades. So that, that's all I can ask for.
How many different high schools do you think she'll apply to? That you'll look at for her?
Probably 3. We got 3 in mind. I have
okay.
I would like to see her go. But, probably 3, maybe 4. She'll go private. She's not going to go to the public high school. So, a couple of apply to. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't there either. I mean, if you have,
hopefully,
if you have the opportunity to send her to somewhere like that, absolutely. That's a difference maker. You're going to be you're going to be getting her into an Ivy League school before you know it. She'll be going to Harvard or Dartmouth or Yale, somewhere like that, and then you're going to end up with a head coaching job, moving on up. I think Central Connecticut State maybe, and then you'll end up at UConn when Gino leaves.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm comfy here.
Would you go if Morgan got the job and offered you an assistant position? Would you want to move back to Stores?
And I mean, I respect Morgan a ton. I would definitely
consider it
for her, the opportunity. Yeah, for sure. Would I live in Stores? No, I would live in like West Hartford or somewhere that way. But I would consider it if it was her. Because like I said, I respect her a ton. I think she's really good.
Yeah, she's done a good job there. And just seeing the facility last weekend was incredible. I can't believe the men's and women's facility, and Chris has done a wonderful job there. Well, I know that you have to get going and get your day started, so I appreciate the conversation, and we'll see what happens with the WNBA Finals. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I wish you the best with your first practice. If you film any clips of it, Dave will put it up. We can put it up on his YouTube channel to get you some exposure. Because, like I said, he's got 1 million subscribers, and you're one of the popular ones. You always draw. So if you film any practice clips, anything good, you just send it to me, and we'll put your stuff up. And I look forward to it.
All right, man. Have a great one.
All right. For my co-host, Maria Conlon, head coach, Western Connecticut State University, Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw